I'm here today in Tubber, Britain with my friend Conor. We went to the church first and then we came down here to look at Tubber Podrick, which is this bright green area there. There's not a lot of water in it at the moment. And the Noena River comes from, I'll put an indicator in the video, and runs along here under this bridge. And this field there, where all the cows are, if you imagine in your mind turning them into tents, because that is Bon na Campa, who is a battlefield a long time ago. Anyway, we came here and we spotted this stone, and I thought, that's Conor, by the way. There must be something significant about this big old stone near the holy well. So we started cleaning it, because there was a lot of moss on it. And the first thing we discovered was a long shard where we think someone might have used that for maybe sharpening a stone axe or something. It continues all the way along here and it looks very man-made. And then I was looking for a cross because I thought it's a holy well, there must be a cross. And there's a cross, and Conor thinks that people knelt there because there's a thing where you can kneel on, and then you just do it again, please. Take a stone and you make the cross. And we swear it was there before we came. We didn't just do that.
It is indented.
Generations of people have come here and made that cross. And he thinks they have to have knelt there, because if you start from this side, it would be upside down. And we wouldn't want any Satanism in this area, would we?
That's you now, like, you know.
So that's that story. So that was the first excitement when we discovered the stone and the cross on it and how the mark was made by kneeling on the stone and all that. And when we left the site, we met the farmer, the landowner, and we asked him about the stone. Did he know about the cross and all that? And he said, actually, the boulder had only been moved there about 30 years ago. So that was a bit of a blow. He doesn't remember exactly which field it came from. And we talked about it, Conor and I, and I think we agree that the cross, as well as the groove here, doesn't actually look that ancient. Like, it doesn't look as weathered as the rest of the stone, and it's also not covered in moss, and we had cleaned some of the moss off. You can see that pretty well here. So that's a 3D scan I made on site. So that's where Conor brushed off the moss with his boots, and I did a bit with my hands. And it's also partly not covered because it's on top of the stone and the moss is mostly at the bottom. So I'm not convinced that it's ancient because it doesn't look as weathered as the rest of the stone, but at the very least it is a stone or a boulder close to a holy well where someone has carved a Christian symbol into it facing the holy well. So if you were kneeling here, put your knee here and carving the cross into it, you would be facing the holy well, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Even if it was someone just messing, they've still put a Christian symbol near a holy well, and there's some meaning to it. It's not as significant as generations, as I said in the recording first, of people going there worshipping, whatever, praying, doing their rounds or whatever, because the stone's only been there about 30 years. But there's still a Christian symbol near this holy well. Also, it looks a bit weird, this groove that goes around here. It actually does look like it's going around as if they were trying to cut this bit off or something. I don't know, and I kind of think there might be more crosses on it. I'm not entirely sure. The scan is not great, but there's actually this groove that continues along here. There's actually two here, so I was thinking that maybe, and this is pure speculation, if it came from a field with a good view, because where the graveyard is in Tubber Upper, you have a really good view, and if it was in a field up there somewhere, it could have been a mass rock maybe, and maybe they used this for the Bible or for the chalice, that they carved this out here as a little table. That pure speculation because we don't know. where exactly the stone came from, unfortunately. But so that's our little discovery there. I haven't really decided whether to report it to the National Monument Service or not, especially since it's only been there 30 years. It doesn't really fall under archaeology, I presume. I'm not sure. I'll just send it and see what they say. But they don't really record folklore, which I think this would fall under. Another thing that the farmer told us, and he's probably in his 40s. Conor knew him by name. He hadn't met him before, but we think he's in his 40s. He said that he once had to carry a woman up from the holy well or down to the holy well. I'm not quite sure. He had to carry a woman who had gone to the well because she was in pain and she was hoping to get cured by the water. We don't know how it ended. We don't know whether she got cured. But this, since he's only in his 40s, I presume she wouldn't have asked a child to carry her. It can't have been that long ago. So maybe the last 20, 25 years or so. So within that time period, there's certainly veneration still at the well. And it is the only well in the area that people seem to know about. There's another holy well, Tobermory, not so far from there, that I've asked people in the area about and they hadn't heard of it. But this one is still known, and I think I will have to bring another brush to maybe clean more of the moss off, maybe. And maybe you'll get another update, and maybe I'll discover more rock art, modern rock art, possibly. At least I didn't use an angle grinder, because that would have made the dating a lot easier. It's certainly done with a stone. So that's that story. Bit different than usual. No mapping. I have mapped it as natural rock, and I think I put a description on it. But that's all the mapping I could do about it so far. Thanks for watching. Slán go fóill.